So a while back, I did a story that was kind of more like, let's see this universe of like Disney and Warhammer 40k. In here, we're going to do an AU of Disney with Warhammer Fantasy. So yeah, remember, it's all fan fiction. It don't always quote my favorite quote of all time. That's not a lie, I've got a few other favorite quotes, but one I constantly use in life is from Carl from Aquatine. It don't matter. None of this matters. That's how you could describe. That's how you could look at fan fiction in general. It don't matter. None of this matters. Anyway, so yeah, let's get into it. So in here, kind of like the Warhammer story, it is kind of like a where are these characters and where do they exist within the confines of this universe. That's kind of the big thing going on. So let's get into it with this story. So this this will begin with our main focus is Randy from Randy Cunningham. In here, he was basically part of a village that was overrun by chaos, and his whole village was massacred by the Black Legion. You know, they were slaughtered by Archaon and the Legion, and in turn, what happened was he managed to hide, but he survived. And who came stomping through but the Lizard Men? The Lizard Men were more or less like just kind of looking for any traces of chaos, because that's what they're programmed to fight, is the Lizard Men. And what they find is young Randy. See, and that's when the Lizard Men take pity on him and take him carry him and take him back to their home, where Randy as a child begins living and existing alongside the Lizard Men and starts to like train under them. He becomes the first human warrior to learn Lizard Men tactics and weaponry. But the Lizard Men also point out that like you're still human. We're gonna outlive you. And even like the Slan who is leading them even tells Randy, we fight chaos, but like we understand that like you're not one of us, you know that? Like, we love having you here. Don't get me wrong, we love having you here, but, like, you belong among your own kind, and the reason why we've been training you is because we want you to be a hunter of chaos, you know? That's why we've been training you with all these weapons and whatnot, and teaching you, like, stealth tactics and things like that, so you will be able, when chaos comes, you will be able to avenge your family and fight against the forces of, the forces of chaos. So when Randy's old enough, he gets sent out into the world to explore. He's like, I'm gonna go out into the world. I want to see the world. He wants to like Conan it up, where he's just like, I want to see the world outside of my own. Like, I want to see the world and see what is beyond these shores. So the Lizard Men are like, you may not be one of us, but you were part of the tribe, and we give you our permission to leave. So Randy takes a boat and heads out into the world to see what else is out there, out in the wilderness, out across the sea. He kind of ends up in the wrong place, because where he lands he goes across the sea and he ends up in Nehekara, and that's not a great place to land in your first attempt. So he lands there, and he's traveling he's encountering the desert, but he's lived among lizard men and in a hot, humid jungle. He's kind of built for like for hot desert, but it does get to him, and eventually he does run into he does encounter someone. They take him and they bring him back to they bring him back to Kehepri, the home of Cetra, and it's a member of the mortuary cult by the name of Anne. And Anne basically tells him, like, straight up, like, I'm Anne, I'm a young member of the mortuary cult, and I have been and Randy explains, like, his whole story is like, I was raised by the Lizard Men, and she's like, oh, my family. I lost my family, and I've been raised in the mortuary cult to be a necromancer, and I serve under the Great King. And he's like, what Great King? That's when Cetra shows up, and he's like, Yeah, she's talking about me. So Randy shows himself off, and he tells him, and Cetra is like, boy, give me one reason why I shouldn't kill you. I'm, the people of my kingdom are not fond of outsiders. So give me a reason why I shouldn't kill you. And he's like, because I'm a slayer of chaos. And Cetra is like, oh, you're a court jester, I see. I could use one of those. So Randy has to no, I can fight. Like, I've been trained by lizard men to be a warrior. Oh, good. You've been trained by reptiles. I clearly need that in my life. Be on your way, boy. I have no need for you. And he's like, you've caught me in a magnanimous mood. You can leave with your life. But Randy, wants to prove himself before Cetra. And Cetra is like, alright. You want to piss me? Alright, I could use the entertainment. And he just summons this massive scorpion to battle Randy. Randy does battle with it. He slays it. And Cetra is like, alright, that was cool. You can leave with your life now. So Randy, now leaving with his honor, he heads out further. He goes north because Cetra basically tells him, straight up, you don't belong here. You're made of flesh. I keep that girl Anne because she's learned how to be a necromancer, and she's allowed to bring back my soldiers whenever they are. But you can go fuck off and find somewhere else to go. But he's like, to show, but Cetra goes, you can go north. There are other people like you in the north. Go find the kingdom of men or some shit. Get out of my house. So Randy travels further north and finds himself in Bretonnia. And Bretonnia doesn't take well to outsiders. Randy, in fact, has to battle knights of Bretonnia who are like, you, peasant, who are you to travel among these roads of the kingdom of the lady? And Randy just is like, I recognize no lady. I do not recognize your authority, and I only want to pass. And the knights are like, well, that's not happening. So the knights attack Randy. They're still on cavalry, and Randy's trying his best to fight them. And he's like, if you were real men of honor, you'd get off your horses in battle and fight me as men. And they're like, no, we're not doing it. No, why should we get off our, our thoroughbred steeds if you cannot fight us, as the warrior you claim to be? And that's when, an arrow goes flying into one of the knights' faces and kills him. Then more start arrows flying out of the trees. So what it is that's when Randy encounters a group of peasants who are having their own little rebellion, which is led by Heidi Wienerin. And Heidi and her brother have been fighting a peasant rebellion in Bretonnia because, let's be real, Bretonnia kind of sucks, and Bretonnia is not kind to the lesser people, to the lower class. They've been, and this is a group of peasants who are like, nope, fuck them, we're done, we're not doing this whole peasant. We're not doing this peasant thing, and we're going to bring down. This establishment because Heidi's basically found out that there is no Lady of the Lake. This whole thing is bullshit. It's the wood elves fucking with Bretonnia, and it's an elf con artist. But when she tried to tell everyone, when she discovered this travesty, she was branded a heretic, and her and those who believed her fled into the woods of Bretonnia, and they've been trying to find allies. So they found Randy and saw how good he was as a fighter, and were like, "Hey, how about you come fight for us?" And Randy's like, "Yeah, that'd be cool." He's like, "Yeah, he's already Bretonnia already sucks, so I want to know how far the suckage goes." So Randy and the others actually do encounter one of the people who's been really about protecting the Lady of the Lake, guy by the name of Bellows. And Bellows has come to Bretonnia to be like, I am the voice of the Lady of the Lake, and I am here to speak on behalf of the Kingdom of Bretonnia. And I will, I speak for the lady and all that, and they're like, we don't trust it. They're all the little Bretonnian rebellion is like, yeah, we don't trust this guy. We don't know where he came from, but he's been saying we speak for the lady. In fact, he's the reason we had to, like, fuck off and run. So they're like, well, who is he? He's like, well, we don't know. He kind of showed up out of nowhere, and we don't know where he came from. We've been trying to figure out who he is, but maybe you can help us figure it out. So Randy, learning what he's learned from the lizard men, stalks Bellows and discovers this dude isn't a human. He's not even an elf. He's a fucking vampire. He's one of Manfred von Karstein's one of his servants, and a necromancer that Manfred's been controlling. And Bellows is trying to weaken Bretonnia so a vampire incursion can happen. Of course, this did not go unnoticed, and because Bretonnia is so backwater fucking stupid, they're going with it. But at that same time, that's when Bellows discovers Randy, and Randy's forced to fight the vampires that are acting as, like, Bellows' guards. So after Randy fights his way out of there, and that's when he also gets help from another group. And that group is a group led by Amity. It's a group of wood elves. Amity is a member of a group of wood elves who have been battling against Bellows because he's been hawking the whole, like, I am the voice of the lady and all that. And they're like, we can't have a we may be, not so great to the Bretonnians, but we can't have a, Manfred von Karstein and his army fucking come into our home and wreck shit. Can't have that. So after that whole thing, Randy the wood elves are like, hey, come join us real quick. So Randy goes with them, and he's like, I don't trust you guys because you guys are also manipulating Bretonnia. And even though these guys seem like they suck, they kind of know, like, they're still, they're still people under your thumb. And they're like, yeah, well, we got shit to do. And would you rather have us here, or would you rather have Manfred von Karstein? And he's like, I don't know who that is. Why? Like, I've heard, like, the lizard men told me about vampires, but I don't know who Manfred von Karstein is. So Amity gives him the whole spiel about Manfred von Karstein, and she basically also explains that she herself isn't a wood elf. Amity is a dark elf who her family supported Malekith and his rebellion on Ulthuan. But they kind of realize that, Malekith and his mom / I don't know what else you want to call them. It ain't like, it's really Alabama level stuff sometimes. She left, but her mother and her family kind of stayed behind in support with the other dark elves. It wasn't until later that the wood elves found her. And she even kind of explains that, look, we don't really, like, the wood elf group I run with, we don't really support what the lady is doing. But it does give us a lot of, protection from what else is out there. And I kind of need it because because Malekith and my mother might come find me. So Randy's like, all right, so who's the leader of your clan? So they're introduced, it's Ida. And Ida is the leader of this group, and she's been kind of following Bellows ever since he came to Bretonnia. So Randy basically explains, all right, look, if we're going to save a country that doesn't need saving, we're gonna have to introduce you to my friends. So Randy introduces the rebellion to the wood elves, and at first everyone's like ready to fight, but then Randy's like, guys, shut the fuck up. We need to work. This isn't gonna help anyone if we're all fighting each other. I'm pretty sure this Manfred von Karstein is probably, with Bellows' help, is going to march a vampire army right into Bretonnia. And they're all like, fine, we'll all work together. So now joined together of a human wood elf alliance, Randy and his allies proceed to find, they keep doing scouting missions and whatnot, and discover that Bellows is going to be having a secret meeting, claiming that he's going to meet the Lady of the Lake, when in reality he's going to meet with a large vampire contingency sent by Manfred to invade the northern parts of Bretonnia. So it's kind of important they stop that, and that's their best chance to end Bellos when they can. So they get there, they battle, they actually catch Bellos off guard, and he and his small vampire army are there. There's a huge battle. Everyone's getting, and the elves and the humans know how to fight. But remember, these are vampires and undead horde. Everyone who dies gets resurrected as just a mindless corpse. That is until Randy manages to like slay Bellos and send a warning to Manfred, being like, if you come back, if I find you, Manfred, I am going to kill, I am going to do this to you and everyone else in your country. So Randy returns, and it's by that point the Lady of the Lake shows up, and she's just like, you know, she covers her ass, and everyone else is like, oh, fucking fine. He's like, the Lady of the Lake is like, oh, that was a false prophet who was trying to lead you astray, but now you're all back. You know, the Kingdom of Bretonnia is safe by this young man. So Randy is hailed by a hero, but he's like, you guys suck, I'm out of here. So Randy leaves Bretonnia and starts heading outward towards the Empire of Man. So there you go, guys. I don't know if I'll make this a series. I'm thinking of making this a series because if you notice, there aren't a lot of characters out there. I didn't use a lot of characters, and I'm kind of thinking of making this like almost like a Conan the Barbarian in Warhammer fantasy kind of story. So but they'll depend on if you guys like this or not. So comment below, let me know what you guys thought of this. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.